fans, to the grand final of GSTL Season 2. This is day 1, and this is going to be pretty awesome.
This is going to be pretty epic, ladies and gentlemen. We have Axiom-Acer in the finals. They dominated the season, and now they are up against Team AZUBU on a winning streak after defeating StarTale with a quick 2-0. They are now smelling blood in the waters, and they want to have the title.
Yeah, they really do. And, you know, a lot of people think they can actually come through and do it today. Not going to be easy against the team that dominated this season, way at the top of the rankings. Axiom-Acer being so far the best team, miles ahead of everybody else. But Axiom-Acer has an opponent that is kind of on a roll right now, taking StarTale out nearly flawlessly.
Exactly. AZUBU definitely in a really good spot right now when you look at the recent results. And against StarTale, I have to admit, that was just a storm. StarTale didn't stand a chance, and AZUBU did so well. So right now for Axiom-Acer, of course, it was a little bit easier going into the playoffs since they only had to play the finals here. But that's also a very dangerous position to be in. You are so confident coming from the regular season into the playoffs, and you know that you dominated these teams already. But right now they really need to focus on the matches. And I'm actually not too worried about that. Crank, a player and also a coach who really made sure that the team was focusing on training, was focusing on the next opponent. And for them, I feel that they're going to be really well prepared for this today.
I think so too. They've got some pretty good maps today as well, and they've had a lot of extra time to prepare because they've just been kind of sitting back and watching these teams battle it out, seeing what strategies they're going for. You know, being able to look at a player like Supernova and say, well, I've noticed he's been going mech a lot recently in his televised matches. That might be something we see again today.
Before we're going into our first game today, we have a short interview with the coaches. Let's hear it from them, what they have planned for the day and what they expect from day number 1 here at the GSTL final. Crank, of course, the player coach for the team here, doing an excellent job throughout the season in the first and second round, playing a lot of the games himself, and he brought his team in the lead not only once.
Very good leading the charge type player, as well as the coach, always getting his team motivated. So Crank is saying that they have a lot of time to rest and prepare for today's finals, and they actually wanted the playoff to go to 3 days, but AZUBU won the match more easily than he anticipated. And so, as a result, AZUBU also got 1 extra day to prepare for today.
It's actually one of the things that we talked about yesterday, that or the day before, that AZUBU was able to clinch it out with a 2-0 instead of a 2-1, and therefore got an extra day to prepare for the match today. So definitely a good spot for AZUBU, gave them a little bit more extra time with the training. But I don't think that Crank is going to be too worried. They had a lot of time to prepare for this game.
It's asking him which format he prefers, and he actually prefers the predetermined entry format, which is today's format, and that gives us more time to prepare. And because we actually had so much extra time to prepare for today's match, it really works in our favor.
He's also saying that they have, of course, innovation in the roster, which is why they don't mind playing the other format where you have the all-kill format. That's putting it pretty bluntly. I mean, innovation is the best player this season. If you look at it in the individual standings, he's leading the top with a massive lead. So, I mean, Crank is certainly right about it, but I didn't expect him to put it like that.
Saying which player are you the scared of, the most scared of, he says, and he picks Sleep as the answer. Not particularly because he's the best player in their opponent's team, but he plays kind of dirty. And he tried to mess with our mentality recently, a few days ago.
How exactly did he do that? MMA is actually the one player goes up against Sleep, and he's also on the microphone right now, so we have the trash talk already going on.
MMA says his ID is Sleep, so he's going to make him fall asleep inside the booth.
That is like the weirdest banter that I've ever heard of. I think that only works in Korean and not really in English. If you want to put Sleep to sleep, then you have to play like really boring, and I think then the Zerg player has a really good time in that match. So MMA should probably rethink that.
하늘을 찌르는 것 같은데 임성춘 감독 이야기 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. 이런 이야기 들었어요. 뭐 쉽게 이겼으니까 쉽게 우리가 자꾸 우승하겠다. 아주부의 수장으로서 이야기해 주셔야 될 것 같은데요.
뭐 그런 뭐 얘기들 많이
Do you have any comments, replies to what the Axiom-Acer coach has said?
뭐 맡겨줘라.
And of course he does. I mean, the AZUBU coach, always someone who was quite blunt in the interviews and talking to the truth. So he's just mentioning that Sleep actually told him that the matchup against MMA is going to be an easy game for him. So Sleep very confident going into the Zerg versus Terran that we're going to see later on today. And this is the matchup where he really made an impression in the individual league too, so we can expect a lot of him.
This is actually going to be pretty exciting, that particular match.
If he comes to it, of course.
If it does, yeah.
그건 크게 이제 뭐
So we had less time to prepare for today's match than Axiom-Acer, but we always sit in the team house and practice.
하는 생각이 들 정도로
And basically what he's trying to say is, even though they only had a day, they've been practicing hard every day. So every player stays in the team house on the weekends. Nobody has a girlfriend. Almost nobody has a girlfriend. And they're just always practicing. Shots fired, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
엑시오메에서는 오늘 엔트리 예고제가 우리 팀의 조금
We're all
더
real
강력한
nerds.
면모일 것
Exactly.
같다라고 이야기를 해줬었는데
We don't have
두분은 어떻습니까?
girlfriends. We don't have anything else to do, so we play all
방식에
day.
더 자신이
They're just calling me all the time. I gotta play StarCraft though. She has to wait till the season is over. But he says he also prefers the predetermined format more than the all-kill format.
이신영 선수 같은
And
팀들이 굉장히 좋은 선수가 그냥
his reasoning is innovation is only able to play one time in the predetermined, so you can't get multiple wins. So it's interesting that both coaches acknowledge that innovation is actually just the best player in this league right now.
It's going to be difficult for them in the elimination system to go up against him, but the coach already said last time that they feel that they will be in a position where they can do a whole lot and they have a lot of players that are confident against innovation. But he said already that they really need to take the win today to have a better chance in the elimination race than against innovation. That's kind of the goal for the day, apparently, for Team AZUBU.
Yeah, the match really important for AZUBU today. I feel just because in the all-kill format, there is a slight edge to Axiom-Acer. And basically, Axiom-Acer is going to knock you out in the booth. How do you feel about that?
이미 경기를 이겼단 마인드라 가지고 지금 세레모니만 생각하고 있어요.
He says you already prepared a ceremony for today. He's very sure that he's going to win, and the only thing that he's actually thinking about is the ceremony that he has prepared. He is more nervous about the ceremony itself than going up against MMA today. Shots fired.
Shots fired indeed.
뭐 상의를 탈의할지 팔굽혀펴기를 할지 뭐 그런 아직도 머릿속으로 고민 중이신 거죠?
So apparently he has a few prepared today, and he's still deciding which one he wants to go for.
그래도 한번 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 우리 황영재
I think that we're going to see a lot of ceremonies today, if I had to guess.
선수 감독
It's actually going to be really funny. You know, like the coach probably at the team house the entire time. Sleep, you have to practice. And he's like, no, dude, it's going to be fine. Like, I'm up against MMA. I got this, bro. I got this. But I still need to think about what do I want to do when I win.
I just imagine him doing K-pop dance moves in front of the bathroom mirror in the team house, and everyone is just like, can you take a shower? Sleep, you've been going at that for a few hours now.
Where's Sleep? Where's Sleep? He's still in front of the mirror practicing.
After looking at the entrance today, it seems like AZUBU has a little bit of an edge. That's what Gisato thinks. I actually disagree, but he's asking the AZUBU coach. Or actually asking Axiom-Acer coach first.
Really, I think the matchups today are going to be really good. I mean, it could have been much worse.
I feel it's pretty close, but I would give a slight edge to Axiom. But Crank is saying it's hard to predict the lineup for AZUBU today. But it's a little bit similar to what he predicted they would send out.
예상대로 이루어졌다라고 이야기를 해줬는데.
Yeah, he thinks it's going to be a close match today, but he says that he thinks they are going to win it today. But as you already mentioned, I mean, I feel today is going to be really. There are a couple of games once again that are going to be really crucial. But in general, I would expect a very, very close match between the two of them. Symbol versus Ryung is going to be very important for AZUBU. They really need a victory of Symbol there, in my opinion. Innovation versus Ragnarok. In the Terran versus Zerg, I mean, who's going to expect Ragnarok to take it? So there are a couple of games that you can kind of predict, but the rest of them is really strange. Talking a little bit about like who wanted to go up against Innovation. And what the AZUBU coach actually wanted was sending Boom Boom out against Innovation because Boom Boom had a lot of confidence when he talked with him. But it's okay. So, and he says like it's better for Boom Boom to get a loss actually. But it's Ragnarok who faces Innovation Day, as I just said.
Interesting way of looking at things. The confidence for Boom Boom definitely something that could have helped him. They locked in together. So who's the key player for today's match? He has Crank.
Crank versus Supernova is also a match that's going to be really important for AZUBU. So I feel like it's really going to be the match between Supernova and Crank and between Symbol and Ryung.
Those two are definitely, for me, the most crucial ones.
자, 엑시오메에서는 문성원 선수의 경기라고 했는데요.
The MMA match he thinks is going to be very important for them.
1세트, 2세트.
양 팀의 그 에이스가 1세트, 2세트에서 한 번씩 나오니까 여기서 2대0으로 확 쓸어
And
잡는
it's going to hurt their mentality penalty if MMA loses to Sleep.
Which is actually interesting if you think about it, because that already shows that Crank expected to go into
자,
a
이제
6th
저희
game.
결승
So
바로
he
진행을
thinks
해볼
that after
텐데요.
5 games they're going to be down a set.
와주셨고 또 집에서 또 이동 중에
That's
모바일로 많은
a
분들이
really
응원해
interesting way of
주실
looking at
겁니다.
things, just saying like,
엑시오메이서 우승을
basically
바라는
we're probably going to
팬분들께
lose some
각오
of the
한마디 시원하게
matches,
해주시죠.
and we're not going to try to avoid that. But
저희는
it's asking, of course, if he has any comments to the
이
fans.
우승 하나만을 바라보고 왔기 때문에 경기력 하나만큼은 전혀 걱정하실 필요가 없고요. 저는 경기력보다 어떤 전략, 어떤 모습을 더 새롭게 보여주냐는
So the goal for the
포인트를 맞췄기
season was to
때문에
become the
많이
champion.
응원해 주시고
You guys don't have
그
to
부분에
worry
대해서
about our
더
performance at the
신경 쓰고
finals. It's going to be a
관람해
great show.
네, 감사합니다.
And
자,
of
우리
course gives
임성준
a huge
감독도
shout out to the fans here.
각오 한마디 힘차게
There's
한번 부탁드립니다.
actually so many people here in the studio today.
저희는 뭐
Such an
크게
important
뭐
match,
성적에
as
대한
you'd
그 욕심을 뭐
By the way,
냈다기보다는
spread the word
그런
about the stream. Tell everyone to go to GOMTV.net. Get on
쪽에서도
Twitter,
저도
Facebook,
뭐
Team
적이
Liquid, Reddit,
없거든요.
everywhere.
그냥 지금까지 편안하게 경기를 해왔는데
Get on
그러다
G-Talk.
보면은
Chat your
뭐
friends.
이렇게 결승자를 볼 수 있는 거고 우승도 할 수 있는 것 아니겠습니까?
So he's saying he didn't really try to pressure his players too much this
우승까지
season,
했으면 좋겠습니다.
and his sponsors weren't actually too pressuring about the results.
자,
So he
임성준
just wants the
감독과
players to
그리고
have
또
fun
최전 플레이
and
코치
the
그리고
fans to
각 팀의
enjoy the
선수들의
games.
이야기까지 들어봤는데요. 이 인터뷰를 들으니까
I'm
오늘
pretty
이
sure
시간이
though.
더욱더
Today's
뜨거워지는 것
lineup
같고
looks really
빨리
strong.
경기를 보고 싶네요.
Was a little bit surprising to me that Axiom-Acer actually did not send out Impact, but they are relying on a lot of different players today. No Zerg playing the lineup though. I mean, Impact being the only one, Scarlet not being in Korea.
결승전 1일차 경기 저희 잠시 후에 들어와서 바로 경기 속으로 가보도록
about that a little bit
하겠습니다.
later as the match unfolds. There's our beautiful trophy. The winner of the match will get that trophy, and it looks pretty sick. I'd want that trophy in my team house.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel today is actually exactly what the coach has talked about. Today is gonna just put the foundation down for tomorrow's match. But before we are heading into our first game, ladies and gentlemen, after we just had the interviews of the two players, we'll give the players a bit of time to actually set up the gear and everything, get ready in the booths, and then we're gonna be back here at the GSTL finals with day number 1 in our first match today between Symbol and his opponent in the Zerg versus Protoss. So see you guys in a few.
Welcome back to the GSTL Season 2 Grand Finals. We heard what the coaches and some of the players have to say. Now we're going to get into the games, and we are going to start talking about what's really happening. And we are, of course, in our predetermined format today. All kill is tomorrow. And we're starting things off with a Zerg versus Terran.
Exactly. Symbol is going up against Ryung, and in my personal opinion, this is one of the most crucial matches today. Just imagine if Symbol, one of the strongest, if not the strongest player on the AZUBU bench, is going to lose his first game today, and Ryung is able to achieve a victory here. It would be so awesome for Axiom-Acer, and at the same time, just really crushing for the team around Symbol and Supernova.
Yeah, very true. Symbol is basically the anchor of their team when it comes to consistency. And if he loses right away, the morale of the team has got to go down as well.
I really like that Symbol's being sent out first by his coach. Of course, it's also a little bit of a gamble, but if you think about it, if he takes the first game, that will give the team a lot of additional motivation. And if you just go down the list of games that we have today, you can really see that we have a couple of the matches that are definitely shifted in favor of one player. But just in general, it's going to be quite a close day. And that's exactly what both coaches are expecting too. If you just listen to the interviews a few minutes ago, where Crank himself said that he thinks the most crucial game today is going to be the one between MMA and Sleep, which is game number 6.
Yeah, it's like he's basically saying he expects that some of their players will lose early on and they will not be able to take that early lead. So really interesting to see what he has to say about that. And I feel like we will get to that Sleep versus MMA match. It's like Chekhov's gun right now. It's on the table. And it's like no matter what, we're going to get to see it. I feel like after that trash talk, after the banter we got to see there.
Yeah, it was actually awesome. It would be so annoying. You know, you had MMA and also Sleep just trash talking against each other a little bit, both making fun of each other. It would be quite sad if we wouldn't see that match. So let's see how it goes today. But the games in general, like we have really nice lineups. We also don't have a single mirror match today.
Yeah, which is pretty rare actually for the GSTL. We usually get at least one or two of those, or three sometimes.
And one of the reasons is actually that Axiom-Acer is a team that is not really Zerg heavy, whereas on the other hand we have AZUBU with such a massive Zerg lineup. Today we have 4 Zergs that they send out, and therefore, of course, the chances of having a lot of mirror matchups are pretty slim here. And let's have a bit of a closer look at the two teams today, Axiom-Acer and AZUBU. Both of them with Rice players in the Premier League here. And if you just look at the distribution of races, you can already see that it's actually pretty similar, but be a little bit careful when you look at the Zerg players, because we only have one Zerg actually in Korea for them right now.
And that Zerg player is Impact. He's not going to be playing today, but could participate tomorrow in the all-kill format. So, something to keep in mind. And the lineups today, there are so many really close, hard-to-call matches, but I feel like, you know, some of the ones you talked about, Symbol versus Ryung, are really, really key. Supernova versus Crank. If Crank wins that, it could be terrible for AZUBU.
And as you can see here, this season so far, only one loss for Axiom-Acer against StarTale back then, and they did so well. They dominated this season with ease, and it was quite the performance that they gave us. So I'm very interested to see how AZUBU is trying to counter this today. Of course, also a key player that we have for the team is Alicia that we just saw on screen. He's going up against Sender today, playing in the Protoss versus Terran. And here's the record for Team AZUBU.
Yeah, Team AZUBU not as flawless as Axiom-Acer, losing 3 matches, including 2 matches against Axiom-Acer, so they lost both of those.
And the thing is, I don't really fault them for the loss against Seoul, because that was at the end of the season when the match itself was basically a show match.
Yeah.
It didn't change anything whether they lost or won the series, and sending out Patience as the last player was definitely a choice that the AZUBU coach would never have made if it was really like, if something was on the line there. So for me personally, it's like they lost 2 matches, and that was of course the both against Axiom-Acer. They're out of blood right now. They want revenge.
Yeah. And the double wins against StarTale were really, really impressive. They were very clean cut. Only Life able to take 2 wins out of all the matches they played. So when you have that momentum behind you, and it's such a recent match, I feel like that momentum's still rolling, you know, like a snowball down a hill, and they want to crash right into Axiom-Acer and take that first win today, because as they talked about before, they feel today's match is really important because it's going to be very difficult to play against players like Innovation in the all-kill format tomorrow.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Innovation is the key player for the team, and he's the one that they need to take down. If they can accomplish that, then things are looking good. And all of the players said that they feel really confident, but of course Innovation is just such a tough opponent to beat. Here we have the lineup for Axiom-Acer. Olivia, the manager, once again in the studio today. Crank, the player coach for the team, also playing one of the crucial matches today against his opponent Supernova. And Impact, the only Zerg player currently here in Korea, someone that we won't get to see today, unless he's going to be sent out in the Ace match, which is not all that likely.
Yeah, pretty unlikely. The Ace match, of course, probably going to be seeing Innovation come out, and I would expect Supernova as well, if it comes to that, but that's a long way off if it does in fact happen. Yeah. Here's the AZUBU team, of course. Ragnarok doing really, really well recently. Symbol, the head, the anchor, and Supernova bringing out the mech play recently. So there's some of those key players. Don't forget about Sleep, and of course Center, Boom Boom. Really good lineup of players they can pick from, especially tomorrow in the all-kill format.
And also Supernova has said, like just 2 days ago, that he has a lot of strategies prepared. He showed us the mech play that you already mentioned, but he seems to have a lot of very, very different strategies up his sleeve these days. So I'm curious to see what he can present us today when he's going up against Crank in his game.
Got some fans in the studio from all over the place. Europe. At least I know some from Europe, some from the States. No more than that. There's from other places I bet I don't even know the names of.
Yeah, bet we do. Here we have the lineup of players once again, guys. We talked about it already a little bit. The last game, of course, going to be the match between MMA and Sleep. But keep also in mind that we have another Terran versus Zerg on Whirlwind. HOT versus Boom Boom should be a pretty good match as well. But just in general, the lineup that we see here is pretty impressive. So it should be quite the intense day.
Yeah. You know, the strangest pick for me is the pick for HOT on Whirlwind. I really am curious to see how that one's going to play out, because that's going to be really tough against a Zerg player, especially against Boom Boom on that map. So I wonder if he has a really specific strategy plan for that. Only time will tell. So like you said, no mirror matches today, which is pretty rare, and it makes the matches today feel kind of more interesting because we're seeing all sorts of different dynamics today.
Yeah, the Boo match that you mentioned is also one of the games where I'm a little bit worried about Axiom-Acer there. HOT is a player that definitely has improved a lot in the past, but we've seen a few of his games recently where he didn't look all too impressive. So I'm really curious to see how that is going to pan out. A couple of fans again here on the screen. They're trying to go for a HOT6 ceremony apparently, but a little bit too shy.
Yeah, a little bit too shy as it turns out.
I get another chance later on, buddy. Believe me. That camera loves foreigners.
Innovation getting a little bit chilly. You put on the jacket. It's getting warm. It's getting warmed up. And just another shot of AZUBU here. Center on the left. Former TSL Terran. And Quantic player. So, alright, we're finally ready to get into our first match here. And this is perhaps the most crucial one for starting things off, because if Ryung is able to take this, that's one of the points that AZUBU was really hoping to get, and then looks like, you know, they're likely to get. But if they lose that one, things start to snowball and fall apart.
You know, talking about the Terran versus Zerg once again, I want to come back to what you said about HOT. HOT came out against StarTale on Whirlwind 2, and that was the same matchup, a Terran versus Zerg. He went up against Curious, and let's just be honest there for a second. Curious crushed him.
Yep.
HOT didn't stand a chance. He was a little bit too passive. That was, of course, also with the newest patch that we had, so the changes in Terran versus Zerg are a bit significant with the changes to the Winnow Mine. But HOT didn't really look all that good on that map, so he has to change a whole lot if he wants to go up against someone like Boom Boom that has shown us impressive play in the recent past. It's gonna be an interesting one, I feel. So HOT probably changing things up a little bit and definitely practicing with the Terran players in the lineup, with the Zerg players in the lineup with the Mecha there. He needs to show us something different than the performance that we saw from him going up against StarTale. But of course, game number one, we will have a different Zerg.
Yeah, different Zerg. Speaking of Zergs, one thing that's really important to know, and we talked about this, I think, last time Axiom-Acer hit AZUBU. AZUBU has a lot of Zergs, and Axiom-Acer doesn't, which makes practicing a little bit difficult when you're talking about in-house only. So they probably had to call upon some Zergs from other teams in order to prepare all sorts of different strategies, because there can only be, I mean, Impact can help practice, but he can only be one person, and only help one person at a time practice. So definitely probably had to call upon some other teams, so we might see some influence of that going into this series.
Game number one today on Tristram, AZUBU Symbol versus Axiom's Ryung. This is going to be a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Terran versus Zerg in game number one at the GSTL Finals Season 2. The first day here, and this game is going to determine quite a bit. Symbol, one of the strongest players in the AZUBU lineup. If he loses here to Ryung, that would be quite the drawback for the team. So he kind of needs this victory. He's one of the players where the coach really expects him to take one of the points. And we will see if this really goes to an ace match today. It could very well be the case. But we are jumping into game number one right now at the GSTL Finals. Day one, Axiom-Acer going up against AZUBU. Symbol versus Ryung, Terran versus Zerg here at the GSTL of Hell and Wolf.
Force when I step to the fore, bringing you that fuel source fresh from the core. Right mind flicking strong, you like iodine. With blueprint, these huge quotes that my mind designs.
And starting to the bottom right in our first game today on Tristram, we have the Terran player for Team Axiom-Acer. It is
Axiom Ryung.
Axiom Ryung with 27 maps played in this matchup. He won 15 of them, lost 12. That leaves him with a 55% win ratio. And he goes up against one of the strongest Zerg players that we have in Korea. Starting to the top left in blue for Team AZUBU.
AZUBU Symbol.
Symbol, such a good Zerg, so much experience.
Yeah, and talking about his experience, you know, we talked quickly about like Ryung and that he has 27 maps played so far. If you look at Symbol, this guy has in Heart of the Swarm offline played 62 times against Terran, and he won exactly half of these maps. So he's currently at a 50% win ratio with a much bigger sample size than his opponent. And he is very experienced in the matchup. And of course for Ryung, we see kind of the build that we expected here. So I would say in this first game we are probably seeing a very standard game with both players relying on their abilities in the mid game, in the late game, and of course in macro.
Yeah, Ryung goes for Reaper Expand here, so he's going to be able to get that scouting information very early on about what sort of opening Symbol has. Symbol's a player who doesn't normally take speed early and get that early gas. Not a very aggressive Zerg, usually a more passive defensive Zerg who will crush you through the mid and late game if you make any mistakes, if you give him an opening. So something that Ryung does, though, want to verify, because if suddenly Symbol changes up his style, then it might catch him off guard. So I like the Reaper opening here. Ryung knows that this match is really, really important for his team. If he can take this one, he may actually be able to get his team that early momentum that they need to clinch this very, very quickly.
Yep. And for Symbol, we have, of course, also a very normal opening going into the hatch first here before he starts with the pool. Adding the gas as well, on the other hand.
Yeah.
And for Ryung and also for Symbol, it's also a bit of a factor that it is the first game of the series. So they are really setting the pace for the entire team, and that's a little bit of pressure onto their shoulders, of course. Olivia was already talking about that Axiom-Acer is a little bit nervous going into this match, and I don't blame them for that. If you dominate a season, you know that there are a lot of expectation towards you. The fans, of course, expect the win from their team today and really want to see them perform well. So there's a lot of pressure on their shoulders.
Absolutely. You know, being the best comes with certain pressures, that's for sure. And the Reaper is going to come in here and start picking away at some of these Harvesters. Does not want to target the Gas Harvesters, wants to keep the focus on those Mineral Harvesters, wants to force a Spore, and actually maybe gets a kill here. No!
That was close. Actually going in there for a second with the drone again, but the Reaper in the end has to get out of the main base. The scouting information there, on the other hand, now available to Ryung. He knows that there's already a gas in the main base, and this is one of the most important things for him to know. The Overlord at the bottom has to be careful. There will be 2 Marines quite soon that could actually try to take it out, but the Reaper is still busy dodging that Queen.
Yep. It only makes 1 Reaper here, gets the extra gas going for that quick reactor. And with these 2 Marines, can actually push that Overload away, just like you said. And he may actually secure a kill here with these 2 Marines. I think he will.
He will get that kill if he sends one out right away. He sends both of them immediately down. He lifts the factory at 2. Could actually try to chase the Overlord here. And that's an oversight by Symbol that I did not really expect.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt. I think he was definitely a little bit more concerned about the Reaper in his main base.
I'm really surprised. Like, that is something that I would have never believed I would see in this game. Symbol, a player who's very meticulous and usually doesn't make mistakes like this. Suddenly he's down an Overlord. He's supply blocked. He's just produced another Overlord and still unsupply blocked. That is definitely cutting him down. He's losing the lava. He's losing the 100 minerals and also a little bit of building time. So that's a bad start for him.
Yeah, definitely not good. It hurts you so much. The larva even. The 1 larva you had to spend on the Overlord just affects you.
It's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, he should have easily been able to get that Overlord out of harm's way. He already saw what he needed to see. The Reaper's in his main base, that already tells him enough.
At the same time, though, we have for Ryung with the Star Pod also Viking, so the Overlord would have probably gone down anyways at some point, but it's just that extra time that you have. At the beginning of each match in StarCraft these days, you usually have very crisp timing. There are certain build orders that you follow, and the longer the match goes, the more you have to think on the fly and make decisions to change your strategy and to adapt to what your opponent is doing. So the earlier you suffer a loss like Symbol just did, the earlier you have to rethink your strategy and just change your timings a little bit.
There's a reason why this genre is called real-time strategy. Everything you do is affected in real time. You always want to be able to get your advantages out as early as possible. And the Viking will clean up the second Overlord, as you mentioned, would have gotten the second one, but it just affects his timing so much early on. You know, if you think that, oh, well, the Overlord's going to die anyways, you're thinking wrong about how this game works. It's so much about the tempo of what you can do to your opponent while you're also trying to get things going yourself.
Similar with the third base now already, going into the hatch at the third position there we have him, and also the Baneling Nest together with the double evolution chamber. That helps him, of course, with a block at the front, is just set the wall so that the Hellions can't get too aggressive against the Zerg player from Team AZUBU here. And at the same time, with the Baneling Nest in the back, you can always just send those Banelings in if there's an early push out with the Marines. But of course, as a Zerg, you kind of want to go into Ling Meter Baneling these days, and the Baneling Nest therefore, of course,
Yeah, absolutely necessary, especially with some of the new timings we've seen players. Well, new old timings coming back with aggression. These drones are a little bit exposed. He doesn't have a whole lot of defense at that third base. If Ryung decided to run in, he could do some terrible damage over there.
Yeah, but so far Ryung actually playing it a little bit passive. I'm actually also not quite sure if he knows about that third just yet. He's probably going to send a few units over there quite soon, but at this point he's absolutely happy with staying back with his units a little bit. That will also make sure that he's not surprised on the map. Most Zerg players with those additional Zerglings that we have are trying to just surround the Hellions and take them out. taking that mid-game pressure away from the Terran player and also that presence on the map for him. So he's playing it a little bit more safe, but now moving out with his Medivacs and also a few Marines. So Ryung really trying to pressure him.
Yeah, he's going to be putting on some heavy pressure here, and I wonder how successful this will end up being. As he has in the Medivacs a group of Marines and a Widowmine to help buffer, but there are already Banelings ready. This is what we were talking about before. Symbol definitely prepared for this.
Similar with the game sense here. He knows what's coming. The Overlords are all cleared out, so there's no scouting. That Viking definitely paid off. But we have the drop in the main base, and unknown to Symbol, the Widowmine already burrowing here. And here come the Zerglings moving in, and that shot is definitely going to go off. 7 kills so far, but in the end, Ryung has to retreat nonetheless.
Yeah, still an okay trade for him. He's got the Hellions poised to threaten if need be. Notice that Ryung has actually added his barracks very early here. That means instead of going heavy on the Medivacs and trying to clear up creep, he's really focusing on building up a large army, so possibly going to hit a timing where he tries to attack before his opponent is ready with Mutalisk. So he's really focused more on his minerals than his gas. He took his gas as natural very late here, so he's really powering up those barracks.
We have him with a third base as well now, moving on to the creep, using the scan and immediately eliminating a few of the creep tumors and falling back right away. So he's not really overcommitting to anything. He's just pressuring the Zerg play a little bit, trying to reduce the map control of Symbol, shutting down the Overlord scouts as soon as he can, forcing the creep back, just making all the small things that you have to do at this stage of the game while preparing your own third in the tech.
Yeah. You know, right now, Ryung is hiding his army in the main base up, on the high ground so that if his Zergling comes up, he can't see quite how many units he's making right now because he's making a ton of Marines. He's going Marines, and more Marines here. And third base is landed. Going to send some SCVs over there relatively soon. And now moves that army out. So he's got a ton more Marines than Symbol has been able to scout so far right now.
Symbol with a lot of Zerglings here. Really, really Zergling heavy. We don't see a Spire just yet. He has speed for the Banelings in production and also the double upgrades, but no Spire, no edit tech for him just yet. The Viking is being pressured here, still trying to hunt down a few Overlords, but Symbol is just going for such a massive amount of Zerglings that he might try to bust in.
Yeah, he's just got so many Banelings.
And here we go, moving in. The Banelings trying to connect the Widowmines, not doing anything right now, and all those Marines are on the run, and they have to run fast. Symbol is crushing this army, and suddenly Ryung finds himself in trouble. The third base exposed, and he will have to live. Might even lose the SCVs, but the Medivacs are there for the rescue.
Medivacs do get the rescue here. Symbol just knew what was coming somehow, some way, without even seeing it. He made so many Zerglings. He was completely ready. He had like 60 plus Zerglings, a ton of Banelings. Baneling speed is now done, and Ryung is sitting pretty here up on the high ground without able to mine from the third base.
That drop at the third really important now for the Terran play. Of course, the Medivac has to be careful. That one Spore Crawler getting a few really good shots off, but this is some aggression that Ryung always has to put onto the natural or the third base of Symbol. But the Zerg player just doing such a great job. Delaying his tech into Spire, delaying the Mutalisks here by quite a bit, and then just going for it. He might as well have just tried to bust through the wall at the natural of Ryung with all the links and the Banelings that he had.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I mean, he could have done that. The thing is, because he made so many of those Zerglings, he has a very low Harvester count. 59 to 59 here, and Ryung has resecured his third base. He is continuing his upgrades, so he's not out of this yet, but he definitely took an early blow. And look at Symbol's creep spread to the south. Oh my god, I mean, he's actually nearly getting halfway to the third base there.
He wants to make sure that he sees right from the start when the Terran player moves out and tries to put pressure onto that third base, even now trying to claim a fourth. And let's not forget that the Spire is about to finish, and look at the gas that we see for Symbol here. It's up to 1,200. That's 12 Mutalisks for him right there if he wants them.
Yeah, and I think he will definitely take it. He has 128 Zerglings on the map right now. Extremely Zergling heavy, I think, is still an understatement for how many links he has. Widowmine here actually getting a few kills, up to 9 there. But he's just constantly harassing still. He actually forced to cancel on that fourth base, now comes over here, and Symbol is not splitting his Zerglings very well. Actually going to lose maybe a Queen here, barely saves at 12 hit points.
Really well done, though. Is able to save the Queen for now. Now the Mutalisks are moving in, trying to make sure that this pressure by Ryung is finally put to an end here. That Medivac is going down, but the Terran player already moving out. Still relying a lot on these Widowmines that have been nerfed in the patch. The Baneling Trap not activated just yet. Another drop in the main base already shut down.
Nice. Using a few Zerlings to trigger all of the Widow Mines. Now goes in for the attack. And there's a Baneling landmine that hits so many of his Marines. And I think this may actually be the end of Ryung. You lost way too much there. He's got no momentum now.
Ryung is down to 56 harvesters. He definitely needs to start a bit of a comeback here. Maybe with the drop in the main base he could achieve something. But the problem for him being that he only has the medivac. All of the Marines were already taken out. Symbol not putting all of his eggs in the basket. Leaving a few units behind and defending against the pressure here. Really great position for the AZUBU Zerg now, shutting down another medivac, and I don't think that Ryung will be able to get in position with another drop.
I don't think so. There's just too many mutas on the map, and he's been pushed back again to his third base where he has no map control. Symbol continues to spread the creep. 6 tumors at a time going active right now. He's got so many more he could be using. Fourth base will finally be secured, and Ryung just doesn't have any pressure he can put on his opponent anymore. Like, this medevac to the south will be cleaned up. What is he going to be able to accomplish with one medevac? He needs more, but he just doesn't have them.
The one thing that really goes for him, though, is that he can already start with this +3 attack upgrade. 2-2 is going to be done in a second for Ryung. Symbol, of course, already being on 2-2 upgrades. Now adding the Infestation Pit so that he can go straight into Hive. But he needs a lot more time to get the 3-3 upgrade. So there will be a bit of a lead for Ryung. The drop actually being able to get into the third base. But what Symbol is doing now is something that I really like to see in a Zerg play. Just going for added defense structures at the third, at the natural, putting a couple of spine crawlers there in case a drop slips by somehow.
Yeah, he's just trying to be very safe here. And just adding those structures buys him the time he needs to get the Vitas over there. He's going to face some pressure on that same drop again and at the fourth base.
I really like how Ryung is currently trying to play this. He knows that he's behind, so he's very careful about his moves. He's starting to drop, getting those drops into position and making sure that he forces the creeps back. Slowly and steadily taking out the tumors here and claiming another base for himself. He is back to 200 supply now, and he has actually a decent position. The tech, on the other hand, that's going to be the issue later down the road.
And Ryung is still trying to make these medevacs work. He picks off 2 queens, getting some drones here just with 1 medevac alone. Going to trade okay against his drones. Meanwhile, he's clearing up the creep at the bottom, which takes forever because that creep spread is so thick. I mean, he's got to kill like 6 tumors to push back.
Symbol is moving in now, trying to use those things to force the Bio Army back. The Mutalists are on the move, but they will take some time until they finally arrive at the scene of the crime. Most of the Zerglings already taken out, and those Marines, they can definitely contest the Mutalists. So the Air Army of Symbol has to be very careful.
He's added a Thor in the mix. He's got this base that's over at the back, so it's very difficult to be attacked by Symbol. If he wants to send his Mutalists over there, he has to be very careful about the counterattacks. The Mutalists might get caught in the middle of the map, but he's going to go for it here. He sees it. There's no turrets, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's not paying attention. He's losing way too many Mutalists. A Widowmine shot goes off as well.
Symbol definitely now in a position where he lost his lead. Ryung making very good decisions here. The drops were doing some damage, and they kept Symbol busy. That allowed him to get this third base and his own upgrades up. The problem for him really being this Greater Spire and the +3/+3 upgrades that are currently being researched for Symbol. So Ryung has to be very careful. He needs to catch that transition intake of his opponent if he wants to be successful in this game.
Yeah, don't forget that Ryung hasn't started his +3 armor just yet either. He's only on the attack upgrade, and for some reason is not researching that armor. It's going to be very important for him later on. Sensor Tower here actually doesn't even go down. He wants to trade it with some Banelings, but not the best trade there. Yeah.
He really wanted to take down the Sensor Tower here. And we still don't have any scans or any detection in the main base of his opponent. He doesn't know about the Hive Tick, he doesn't know about the Greater Spire. The Corruptor's already building, but another job active at that fourth base, and the Zerglings are not enough to defend it. He's trying to run into the mineral line here. He cannot kill that one planetary, but he takes down the SCV.
Yeah, that was actually a nice trade for him nonetheless. Getting those SCVs, definitely good for him.
I don't think it was good enough, though. Just look at the army supply that we have here. 126 against 70. Symbol might have put himself into a position where he doesn't have the time to really get those Broodlords into the game.
Yeah, I mean, trying to make this transition right now is a very difficult one because this is the scariest part of this game he's ever been in. I mean, this is the time where Ryung is actually moving across the map and putting direct frontal pressure on him with a Bio Army. And the Mutalists are going to go for another counterattack without the Sensor Tower. It's hard to spot, but the Mutalist count is so low now that it's hard for him to even get anything done. Ryung has the fourth base, still missing that +3 armor upgrade that I think he would really love to have on his Bio, but it's the same. Still has control of the map right now, but he needs to identify that transition. He really does. He only has 1 starport right now. He's not adding any additional ones.
You know, Ryung actually had a really good chance of just moving in and doing absolutely massive damage, but he did not know that Symbol was so low in army supply. How could he? We have the perfect view here on the map. He has very limited information. and that is definitely something that worked against him. So Symbol has the time to get his army into the game, but he's still down 40 army supply, and that is a concern.
Yeah. You know, I love the way Ryung moves on the map right now. He scans, he finally does see that Broodlord transition, but the way he's doing this, he's always dropping in one location and attacking the other. He's making more starports, double starport going up, he's making it on the reactor, harassing still the bottom left, and when this harassment pulls the units back, he's going to take control of the center of the map.
I love the drops that we see out of Ryung, never stopping the drop harass, and I'm very surprised that Symbol did not react
this
with
is not
additional
good.
spines and spores.
This is not good. He does not want to engage the Banelings up that ramp. He needs to use the Broodlords to zone this army back. He cannot try to go up that choke point, and 2 Queens are definitely not in the right spot right now.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Terran can't really go down the choke point without engaging into the Banelings. He's moving up though, and that Thor is gonna be dead in a second since the Mutalists are targeting it down immediately. Ryung is on the run right now. He needs more anti-air, but he doesn't have it just yet. The starports are just now building. The Banelings rolling in. A few of the medivacs are just evacuating the rest of the Marines, but Ryung dropped in supply, in army supply, so fast. He lost so much.
That was actually a crazy engagement there by both players. Really good decision making. Ryung barely able to get out there. He tried to kill the Ross, didn't get them in time. The Infestor transition is a great one. Banelings are being wasted on Marauders one at a time here, and that drop actually will survive in the main base, continue to do damage, but these Broodlords, there's no answer for them yet. He still only has 3 Vikings. He's got triple starport making, but he needs more time, and Symbol is not giving it to him.
And even with the Vikings, it's going to be so difficult for him. If he clusters up just only once, those investors are going to have a field day against them with their Fungals. And here we go, Mutalists still trying to pressure them back, and without the Vikings, he just can't contest it. Here come the Marines! They're trying to make it happen. The Marines are stepping in once again. The Medivacs blending their support. The stim is good, but there are too many Broodlings down 3-3. This is just too much for him to handle.
It's way too much for him to handle. If you're trying to use SCVs to fight Broodlings from Broodlords, you know something has gone wrong.
The Banelings even shielding them for now, and once again running back and forth, trying to find an angle where he can approach this and take them down. He's losing so many of them. He's killing a Broodlord. He's killing a second. Then transfuse once again, and the Infestors are already on the move. 120 army supply against
He's dancing
28.
the Zerglings here!
Oh!
And Symbol has won game number 1. This was really well played, very patient style. This is the Symbol we know and love. And Ryung is going to have to type out here because those Infestors are knocking on his door, putting Infested Terrans on the high ground.
Infested Terrans on the high ground, Zerglings in the main base and the natural. And this is game GG, and AZUBU with the first victory here at the GSTL final day. Number 1, well played. In the mid-game, looking a little bit rough, but then he smoothed out the edges, and Symbol takes the first map and brings his team in the lead.
Had Ryung been aware that the Broodlord transition was happening, he would have known he had a timing where Symbol was spending all of his gas on that. Hold that thought. He's opening a can of tuna. Now, Ryung's name is actually the name of the famous tuna brand in Korea, so this is why he's doing this, and he's eating the tuna, and he says it tastes good. This is a Korean joke because
Symbol snacking away Ryung here.
I believe the name is Tongwan, is the name of the tuna brand, and it's the same name as Ryung, so a lot of people call him the Tuna Terran in Korea for that reason. So that's why he's doing this and eating the tuna.
Symbol with a victory here, well done. And Crank, I mean, he's nodding. He has a bit of a smile down his face. He knew exactly that this would be a very tough match for Ryung. Definitely a match that he can win, but it was a tough one, and in the end, Symbol was the victor here.
Yeah, that was a really, really good attempt by Ryung, though.
Yeah, and the thing is, Ryung had a chance there when he was moving into the middle of the map, when the first 4 Broodlords were actually morphing. He could have gone in and killed 1, maybe even 2 of the bases of his opponent. He had a 40 supply army lead in a very good position there. He already took down a lot of the Banelings, but he just didn't know that. He didn't have the information, and he didn't want to overcommit. It was very, very difficult for him to call that situation. So from his position, it was the right choice to just move back and not risking it.
Right.
But if he would have known what we saw on the map, then he would have probably just moved in and tried to cripple his opponent before he could get to
And he
strong.
tried to identify. He did scan a lot. He was always doing drops. He just kind of missed it. He just wasn't able to see.
He didn't really see the transition for the Broodlords for a long, long time.
It's not like he wasn't looking for it. He was looking, but he didn't see it. He didn't find it.
I think he had how many Vikings when we really came into the situation
like
when Symbol
3.
finally attacked? 3, 4, something like this. He had the starports, but the first few Vikings, they had to do something. He was forced to attack, and then the Mutalists move in, take the first ones out. For the next wave, the Infestors are already on the move.
And that's our tuna can. That's Ryung in a can. He put him in a can and took that first game. Well, like you said, this is the game that Axiom-Acer knows that was highly favored for Symbol, and it's very unfortunate because one of their better players is in fact Ryung, and he had to go in a tough matchup there. So This is the one that hurts, but it's okay, and I don't think they're going to be too shaken by this.
It's definitely a game where they knew if Ryung takes it, then they are in an amazing spot to win it today. As is, we have a situation where Symbol took the win that a lot of people expected him to take. And let's also not forget, if Symbol loses here for AZUBU, that would have been a crushing defeat in game number 1. But they have this momentum going on once again.
Exactly, yeah. This is probably for AZUBU. Okay, you did it. That's what we thought we were going to do. It wasn't an easy match, but we beat him. We got this momentum now, and let's just keep rolling with it.
Yeah, that's going to be, on the other hand, very difficult for them to accomplish, since game number 2 is going to be another Zerg versus Terran, and we will see Innovation going up against Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And let's just face it here, it would be a small miracle if Ragnarok is able to take it. He showed us great games in the recent past in the matches against StarTale, but Zerg versus Terran and Innovation on the other side of the booth, that is like, that's a Zerg's nightmare right there.
That is absolutely the worst nightmare you could ever have. And as you can see in the background there, Ryung not looking extremely shaken about the match, but definitely a tough loss to take. He had so many opportunities there. But yeah, this is not going to be easy for Ragnarok. He's got to have something special planned. Like, I mean, something crazy. If he tries to play a straight-up game, I'll even be slightly disappointed, I feel, because this is just not going to happen.
On the other hand, think about what happens here if Ragnarok suddenly wins the game. Then Axiom-Acer would be crushed, because this is their best player by far. This is the player that is leading the individual rankings right now. And if he would lose his game, that's a win that you have in the books already. That you say, like, yeah, he's going to win his game no matter what. Yeah. Especially against someone like Ragnarok. He's the favorite. Innovation, I mean, he is so good. The best Terran versus Zerg player in the entire world.
People are calling him the best player in the world. He's 10-1 in GSTL, and that's only this season. He's only played starting this season. He's 10-1. He's only lost one match, and that match he almost won it. He's already beaten Ragnarok once in the GSTL, so keep that in mind too. And this guy is insane. The win ratio you see versus Zerg is only his matches here in this studio. And if you look at those alone, he's already 74.1%. That's insane.
Yeah, we're going to talk about his statistics a little bit later down the road, but he's of course the player that everyone expects also to be the ace player if need be. He's the strongest player in the lineup, he's experienced, and he doesn't make mistakes. He always wins his game. And Ragnarok is in such... I mean, he has nothing to lose here. So if he wins it, if Ragnarok actually wins against Innovation, then I don't think anything can stop
nothing to lose but everything to gain, basically, is the position for Ragnarok right now. And as you can see, his recent 5 GSTL matches, matchups aside, he's won 4 out of 5. He's looked really, really good. And he's got this momentum going in him where Ragnarok wasn't used really in the first round, but in the second round, AZUBU kept playing him left and right, and he was taking wins. He was taking important wins. And he took the last win versus StarTale just 2 days ago, where he was able to defend an early pool. So this guy is resilient, and I think if he has a really good build, maybe, just maybe, he could pull this off. It would be great for AZUBU.
It would be amazing for them. I don't think that anyone could stop them. We are jumping into another 5-minute break, ladies and gentlemen, before we go into the next match here at the GSTL Finals. Day number 1, Ragnarok going up against Innovation in just a few minutes here at the GSTL Color Minds, their hearts all torn apart.